alemin tılsımını ve hilkat-ı insanın muammasını ve hakikati salatın rumuzunu bir parça fehmetmek istersen nefsinle beraber şu temsili hikayeciye bak. Oh brother, if you want to understand a little about the talisman of the wisdom of the word, or if you want to understand a little bit about the code that's going to allow you to figure out the wisdom of the word and the riddle of man's creation, the secret in man's creation, and the mystery of the reality of the prescribed prayers, then consider this short comparison together with my own soul. We are not going to read the whole word. We are looking at the question of why do we need to have that recognition, that witnessing of oneness of God? What's the purpose? What's the point there? And that's going to take us to the questions of the code in the creation of the world, the wisdom behind the creation of the world, and the riddle of man's creation. Why is the universe, the cosmos, the creation created, and why is man created in it? What is man's function in it? Bir zaman bir sultan varmış. Servetçe onun pek çok hazineleri vardı. One time, there was a king. As well, he had numerous treasuries. Hem o hazinelerde her çeşit cevahir, elmas ve zümrüt bulunuyormuş. As well, he had numerous treasuries containing diamonds and emeralds and jewels of every kind. Hem kemalatça sanayi garibede pek çok mahareti varmış. By way of attainment, he had consummate skill and strange, wondrous arts. Hem hesapsız fünun-u acibeye marifeti ihatası varmış. And also, he also had encompassing knowledge of innumerable wondrous sciences and great erudition in endless branches of abstruse learning. Hem nihayetsiz ulûm-u bediaya ilim ve ıtlağı varmış. We already read that in English. And he had great erudition in endless branches of abstruse learning. Hem cemal ve kemal sahibi. Her cemal ve kemal sahibi kendi cemal ve kemalini görmek ve göstermek istemesi sırrınca, and this is the crucial part for our reading. Her cemal ve kemal sahibi kendi cemal ve kemalini görmek ve göstermek istemesi sırrınca. Now, like every possessor of beauty and perfection wants to see and display his own beauty and perfection. And as we talked last night, we asked the question of why. Why do we assume that every possessor of beauty and perfection wants to see and display his own beauty and perfection? See and display. Why do we assume that? Why do we take that as a prior knowledge?
Because we have the same designer.
Okay. We have the same designer?
Designer.
A desire, okay. We know it from ourselves,
yeah.
Right? The qualities, the aspects, the desires, maybe, are keys, cues, that if we follow the cue, if we follow the line, bring us closer to an understanding of God. Because one who does not have that quality cannot give that quality to you. Now you have to do due diligence here and say that the quality we have is not the quality that God has. It's different. For God, He has that quality in accordance with His Qudsiyya, His holiness. And we are not holy. For us, that's a given quality, and the most underlying function of that quality for us is to know God. We have that quality. we as human beings, if we have a beauty, if we possess a beauty, if we see a beauty on ourselves attached to our existence, we want to display it, we want to see it. And therefore, we know that every possessor of beauty and perfection, as we understand it, wants to see and display his own beauty and perfection. İstemesi sırrınca o Sultan-ı Zişan dahi istedi ki bir meşher açsın, içinde sergiler dizsin, ta Nas'ın enzarında saltanatının haşmetini, hem servetinin şaşasını, hem kendi sanatının harikalarını, hem kendi marifetinin garibelerini izhar edip göstersin. As every possessor of beauty and perfection wants to see and display his own beauty and perfection, that glorious king wanted to open up an exhibition and set out displays within it, within that exhibition, in order to make manifest and display in the view of the people the majesty of his rule, his glittering wealth, the wonders of his art, and the marvels of his knowledge. Ta cemal ve kemal manevisini iki vecihle müşahede etsin. And so that, he did this so that he could behold, we can see his beauty and perfection in two respects. Who is going to behold? Who is going to behold his beauty in two respects? Him, the king, right? The king will behold his beauty and perfection in two respects. What are those respects? Bir veci bizzat nazarı dekaik aşinasıyla görsün. The first respect, that he himself beholds them with his own discerning eye. He has discerning sight, and he is going to see them with his discerning eye. There are many things in the creation that no human being will ever set eye on, but it still has is fulfilling a function. Diğeri gayrın nazarıyla baksın. The other, so that he could look, or so that he looks through the view sight of others, through the perspective of others. So we were again thinking about monotheism. Why are we obligated to attain it and to maintain it, right? And this takes us to the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation, we will move to the reality of this as we move, we will understand better, so that the king beholds with his discerning eye, and also so that he looks through the view of others. Bu hikmete binaen cesim ve geniş ve muhteşem bir kasrı yapmaya başladı. I'm going to stop there. With this purpose in mind, the king started to construct a vast and majestic palace. Where would the human beings fit in this?
Second aspect?
The second aspect, right? The first aspect should be clear, right? Why do we need human beings for the second aspect? There are the angels, there are the animals, like other creatures that have sight. If you think of other creatures that have sight, there are the angels, there are the animals, there are the jinn too. But we can maybe consider jinn and humans together. Angels and animals are there. Why humans?
The others' skills are limited. These have limitless skills.
Such as?
Faculties and reflection, pondering, and understanding the components of a creature or creation. Big background.
Yeah. So we are, human nature is adorned with faculties that are in addition to the faculties that angels and animals have.
Could it be linked to a sort of Baqarah where Allah says that we taught Adam the names of things?
The names, yeah. We taught him the names, things that the angels and animals cannot discern. The word that the discerning eye, right? That's somewhat crucial here, because human beings also have discernment. They have the ability to discern, distinguish good from evil, ugly from beautiful, and also to choose one over the other consciously. Human beings have a different level of consciousness and choice that angels or animals do not have. And the discernment, the beholding the sight of one who can appreciate with the choice to choose one over the other, has a higher level of appreciation than the one who does not have that choice. Right? So this is human beings. And the appreciation of human beings, as a result, brings us to the highest level of appreciation other than God, because we are talking in the realm of the second, right? Not the first one. Highest level of appreciation through whose perspective the king, God, can behold or would behold his creation. So then human beings are central. Now, that's about human beings in general. Okay? But we need to make this more specific. What does it have to do with me, sitting here on such and such a date by the ocean, looking over the ocean through that window, me being me on this chair, or Sami being Sami on that chair? What does this have to do with each and every one of us? What is my responsibility in relation to this? Okay? So for that, we are going to, inshallah, read the fourth question of the first letter.
To encourage each other.
What's that?
To encourage each other.
Let's read this and then.
Which part will you
Ask the
read?
question.
The first letter, fourth question. First letter, fourth question. You will individualize this. Dördüncü sual. Mahluklara olan aşk-ı mecazi aşk-ı hakikiye inkılap ettiği gibi acaba ekser nas'ta bulunan dünyaya karşı olan aşk-ı mecazi dahi bir aşk-ı hakikiye inkılap edebilir mi? So the question is about love, and the answer also has an aspect that relates to love, and we will continue on that line after this one. But what we want to understand from the answer that will come after it is not only about love, it's about a broader topic. Fourth question. Like metaphorical love for objects of love can be transformed into true love, can the metaphorical love that most people have for this world also be transformed into true love? So what we mean here with metaphorical love and true love is, to make things simpler, true love is love for God. Metaphorical love is love for other than God. And the question is, can love for other than God be transformed into love for God? And elsewhere this is treated in much more detail, but here there is a very important aspect that's added to it.
It's interesting how she translated to passing.
Which one?
Passing love, majazi. She translates it as passing, right?
Well, mine translates metaphorical.
Oh, and mine is passing. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
I just thought it was interesting because every love of the dunya is passing.
It is, but the word here is not that. It would have been like fani in Turkish.
The metaphorical means, in English, I can't define it right now. I know what it means, but I can't define it.
Metaphorical is something that indicates other than itself.
Refers to something.
Yeah.
Right? So when I use a metaphorical expression, I'm not referring literally to that, but it's almost like an avatar, a symbol that indicates something else.
So
It's
like,
really like just.
But she's saying passing love here, she's talking about a real love for a material thing. That's temporary.
I don't know whether to use the word passing. It's not.
Oh.
It's the wrong translation.
Yeah. Okay. I understand.
So
no, I was going to say,
go ahead.
the 11th word is metaphor. Some that beginning part, the king, is a metaphor for something.
For example,
Right.
for example. But here, what it means in the context of love is, so I have love for
For you, for money.
for you, for money, for my children, for my wife, and so on and so forth, for something worldly, right? And that's a real life. That's something that I really do feel, right? But it is misplaced. I may be aware of it or not aware of it, but in the reality of if you look at the reality of things, right? It's a misplaced love. My love, if you define love as a form of attraction to something, right? What I'm being attracted to is not that thing in and of itself, but rather, if you were to see the reality of things, the manifestation of God's attributes on that thing that are pleasing to my soul, my ruh, my spirit, as my spirit is programmed to be, right? So it's in its reality, it's not love for that thing, but the attributes of God that it manifests, and that's why it's metaphorical, right? If I recognize that it is metaphorical, I can move from my love for that thing to love for God, because whatever I love, in fact, I love God, right? And it becomes true love. But if I don't recognize it, it remains, it's stuck at the metaphorical level, right? And we will have more to say about this, but just that we clarify things as we move on. So can that metaphorical love be transformed into true love? Love for God. El-cevap, the answer. Evet, dünyanın fani yüzüne karşı olan aşk-ı mecazi, eğer bu aşık o yüzün üstündeki zeval ve fena çirkinliğini görüp ondan yüzünü çevirirse, baki bir mahbub arasa, dünyanın pek güzel ve ayne-i esma-i ilahiye ve mezra-i ahiret olan iki diğer yüzüne bakma muvaffak olursa, o gayrimeşru mecazi aşk, o vakit aşk ve hakikiye inkılaba yüz tutar. The answer. Yes, if a lover with metaphorical love for the transitory face of the world, so passing may come in there, transitory or passing.
Yes, it's passing.
Okay. So if a lover who has metaphorical love for the transitory face of the world sees the ugliness of the decline and transience on that face, and this relates to something that Desmi Abi mentioned in the previous class, all that is passing has a pain in it, right? Love for something that's leaving you is painful. Right? If I brought everybody here to the hotel and I told them, this is a week of feast for all of you, no payment, all, what they say, all included, everything included, and it is the best ever time you have ever had in your life, such an entertainment, and I have these magical powers that you don't have headache and you don't get sick and so on and so forth, the viruses don't go around, all those things, it's perfect time, but I also say that on one condition, that at the end of the week, as you go out of the door, I'm going to chop your heads off. Who can enjoy? Right? That's the reality of the world. If you don't believe in God, if you don't have faith, right? Entertain yourself as much as you can at the end of the whatever that period is, but at the end of your hijab, at the end of your assigned period of life, your head will be chopped up. You will face non-existence if that's what you believe. Like that's from the point of view of the non-believer. Enjoy if you can.
How do they enjoy yourself?
Through heedlessness, but through forgetfulness, through this learned skill of not thinking about the future.
It's when drunk and they use drugs and alcohol.
So, if a lover with metaphorical love for the transitory face of the world sees the ugliness of the decline and transience on that face and turns away from it, if he searches for an immortal beloved and is successful in seeing the world's other two most beautiful faces, and those faces are that of mirror to the divine names and the tillage of the hereafter, his illicit metaphorical love then starts to be transformed into true love. So it's possible. Fakat bir şart ile ki, but kendinin zahir ve hayatıyla bağlı kararsız dünyasını harici dünyaya iltibas etmemektir. But there's one condition. On condition that he does not confuse his, I'm going to change the translation a little bit, he does not confuse his own fleeting and unstable world, which is bound to his life, with the outside world. So there are two worlds from each person's perspective. There is the outside world, there is the reality as such out there, right? And then there is our world as we experience it. Two worlds. One, the one that we experience, the other, what we experience.
So one is like the world as is, and the one is the same world but
As we experience it.
from our point of view.
What we experience, what we see.
Question on the
Why
Eh.
did he make that distinction?
It's coming. Eğer ehli dalalet ve gaflet gibi, and so the point we are not supposed to confuse them in order to be able to turn to the true love, right? Bear with it. It will inshallah become more clear. Eğer ehli dalalet ve gaflet gibi kendini unutup afaka dalıp umumi dünyayı hususi dünyası zannedip ona aşık olsa tabiat bataklığına düşer, boğulur. If, like the people of misguidance and heedlessness, he forgets himself, plunges into the outside world, and supposing the general world to be his private world, becomes the lover of it, he will fall into the swamp of nature and drown. When we look at the outside world, we may not recognize its transitoriness, its passing nature, its fleeting nature. Because we're here, we die, the world continues to be there. Right? It's what it said. If I exist, death does not. If death exists, I do not. It's a Greek philosopher. So all I have is what I have here, and I don't need to worry about after me. Right? Why? Because the world is continuing. Intellectually, we may know that this will come to an end. But when we look at the afaq, the horizons, it's difficult to witness, recognize the nature of things. And therefore we can assume, falsely assume, that it will continue. It doesn't hit on us. The passing nature, the transitory nature of reality, material reality, does not hit on us. Right? And when it does not hit on us, it's not possible for us to move from that outer reality to its creator, because we assume that it has an existence in and of itself. It was there, it will be there, no need to be created, no need to be sustained. Okay? So we need to be hit, we need a shock for a higher level of recognition. Meğer ki harika olarak bir dest inayet onu kurtarsın. Unless extraordinarily a hand of favor saves him. Şu hakikati tembih için şu temsile bak. Consider the following comparison to illuminate this truth, to understand this truth better. Because it's a very complex and higher level of truth. It may be difficult to understand. Let's try this further with a comparison, with an example, representation. Mesela, şu güzel zinetli odanın dört duvarında dördümüze ait 4 endam aynesi bulunsa, o vakit 5 oda olur. For example, if on the 4 walls of this finely decorated room are 4 full-length mirrors belonging to the 4 of us, I assume that there are 4 people in the room. We are talking about among 4 people. Each one of us has a wall that's a mirror. Everybody has one mirror in the room. Then there would be 5 rooms. That would be the images of 5 rooms. Right? Each mirror plus the room itself. Biri hakiki ve umumi, dördü misali ve hususi. One would be actual and general, and 4 similitudes and personal. Other 4 images and personal. Because each one of us took one of the mirrors, that was personal. And it's an image. Her birimiz kendi ailemiz vasıtasıyla hususi odamızın şeklini, heyetini, rengini değiştirebiliriz. Each of us would be able to change the shape, form, and color of his personal room by means of his mirror. You cannot do anything to the room. You don't have access to it. It's public, and you are not given individual access to it. But you can change your mirror. Kırmızı boya vursak kırmızı, yeşil boyasak yeşil gösterir. If you were to paint it red, it would appear red. If you were to paint it green, it would appear green. We can do that to our mirror. Ve hakeza. And so on, and so on and so forth. Aynede tasarrufla çok vaziyetler verebiliriz. Çirkinleştirir, güzelleştirir, çok şekillere koyabiliriz. Likewise, we could give it numerous states by adjusting the mirror. We could make it ugly, i.e. we could make our image of the room ugly or beautiful and give it different forms. Fakat harici ve umumi odayı ise kolaylıkla tasarruf ve tahir edemeyiz. But we could not easily adjust and change the outer and general room. Hususi oda ile umumi oda hakikatte birbirinin aynı iken ahkamda ayrıdırlar. While in reality the general and personal rooms are the same, i.e. in terms of images, right? The image of it are the same. In practice or in our perception or in rulings, they are different. Sen bir parmak ile odanı harap edebilirsin, ötekinin bir taşını bile kımıldatamazsın. You could destroy, this is the difference. You could destroy your own room with one finger. You can paint it with your finger and destroy it. But you could not make one stone of the other, the general room, stir. You cannot move one stone in the other general room. İşte dünya süslü bir menzildir. Thus, this world is a decorated house. Now, from the example in the comparison, we are moving to what it represents. From the representation, we are moving to what is being represented. Right? This world is a decorated house, or rather, this world is a decorated room. Menzil is room, not house. Her birimizin hayatı bir endam aynesidir. The life, this is crucial sentence. This is a crucial sentence. The life of each of us is a full-length mirror. Not just a mirror, but a full-length mirror. i.e. a mirror that shows everything that's out there in the world. And that's a difference that human beings have from other creatures.
So fragile and conditional.
That too, but here what I'm trying to emphasize is full length. Right? Humans have the capacity to image the entire creation. Animals don't have that. Angels don't have that. Humans have the capacity to image the entire creation through our intellect, through our imagination, through our heart, with those faculties that we talked before that humans have and others don't. Right? There are parts of existence, creation, that I cannot access physically, but I can access them through my imagination. And I can access them through my intellect. Right? As a result of which, each and every human being at every moment has a reflection of the entire creation in his mirror. We were talking about why humans are central. The beholding, right? Why is that important? Şu dünyadan her birimize birer dünya var, birer alemimiz var. Each of us have a world from this world. Each of us have a world from this world. And we can, remember, we can change what's in that world. Each of us have a world, and we can reflect that world. Who are we reflecting to? To God, right? What was the purpose of creation? Second purpose, to behold through the sight of those who see. Our reflection of the universe, the cosmos, the creation, right, is our sight. That's what we are showing. That's what we are, in essence, if you will, that's what we are transferring to a metaphysical world from moment to moment. Each moment we are transferring to a metaphysical world the entire creation. We can transfer it colored in faith and tawheed, monotheism, or we can transfer it in a state of denial, all in darkness. Şu dünyadan her birimize birer dünya var, birer alemimiz var. Each of us have a world from this world. Fakat direği, merkezi, kapısı hayatımızdır. Now the most crucial part that relates to the topic that I am trying to elaborate on today, what is this? The centrality of human beings, right? It's not just the world out there. Each and every human being, from moment to moment, is transferring to the metaphysical world a whole world, a whole creation. And if you think that if you live 70 years, and 70 years amounts to, I don't know, X trillion, gazillion, whatever moments, you have that many images of tawheed or kufr being transferred. And that explains why hell is deserved, right? But move on, just to complete the subject, bringing this back to the issue of love and how one transfers from metaphorical love to true love, right? Move on. We have a world from this world, fakat direği, merkezi, kapısı hayatımızdır. But its support, center, and door, support is not real. It's pole, it's direct. Think of a tent, pole, yeah. Think of a tent, and think of the tent pole, the central pole in the tent. If the pole breaks or falls, what happens? No more tent, right? So its pole, its center, and its door is our life. I.e., the existence of this tent, the existence of our personal world, cosmos, is bound with the existence of what? Our life. If our life is gone, our world is gone. Remember, we were talking about the difficulty of recognizing the transitory nature of the world out there. That's not what matters for us. What matters for us is our world. And if we confuse the two, then that's a problem. So we need to distinguish, we need to recognize that there are two worlds, right?
So what is the relationship between the outside life and our personal life?
Outside reality and our personal life.
Same, right?
Our personal, okay. The outside world reflects on our personal world. And in our personal world, we can color it, we can change it. And our personal world is dependent on the continuation of our life. So the point of comparison is not outside world and our life. It is outside world, and our world depends on the continuation of our life. Okay? Belki o hususi dünyamız ve alemimiz bir sahifedir, hayatımız bir kalem, onunla sahife-i amalimize geçecek çok şeyler yazılıyor. Indeed, or perhaps, or maybe, that personal world of ours is a page, and our life is a pen. Many things are written with it, with that pen, passed to the page of our actions. The translations of. Maybe that personal world of ours is a page, and our life is a pen, and with that pen, many things are written that will be recorded in our book of deeds. Our life is a pen. We write with that pen on the page of our world, and that's being recorded. Remember I said, from moment to moment we are transferring something to a metaphysical world, right? So what we transfer to the metaphysical world is what we will see in our book of deeds in the hereafter, when that book is given to us. Okay? He uses Sahibi Amal, page of deeds. It refers to the book of deeds. Eğer dünyamızı sevdikse sonra gördük ki dünyamız hayatımız üstünde bina edildiği için hayatımız gibi zahir, fani, kararsızdır, hissedip bildik. If we love our world, later we have seen or we recognize that since our world is constructed on our life, it is fleeting, transitory, and unstable like our life. So now it's easier for us to recognize the transitory nature of the world. It's our world. Okay? It's not like we die and the world continues. No, we die and our world ends. That's what matters to us. Ona ait muhabbetimiz, o hususi dünyamız ayni olduğu ve temsil ettiği güzel nukuş-u esma-i ilahiyeye döner, ondan cilve-i esmaya intikal eder. We have perceived and understood this. Our love for it turns towards the beautiful impresses or manifestations of the divine names to which our personal world is the mirror and which it represents. Hem o hususi dünyamız ahiret ve cennetin muvakkat bir fidanlığı olduğunu derk edip ona karşı şedid hırs ve talep ve muhabbet gibi hissiyatımızı onun neticesi ve semeresi ve sümbülü olan uhrevi fevaidine çevirsek o vakit o mecazi aşk hakiki aşka inkılap eder. Moreover, if we are aware that that personal world of ours is a temporary seedbed of the hereafter, like a greenhouse, a nursery seedbed of the hereafter and paradise, and if we direct our feelings for it like intense desire, love, and greed towards the benefits of the hereafter, which are its results, fruits and shoots, then that metaphorical love is transformed into true love. Yoksa Nasullaha fe ensahum enfusahum ulaike humul fasikun. Otherwise, sırrına mazhar olup nefsini unutup hayatın zevalini düşünmeyerek hususi kararsız dünyasını aynı umumi dünya gibi sabit bilip kendini la yamut farz ederek dünyaya saplansa, şiddet hissiyat ile ona sarılsa, onda boğulur gider. Otherwise, manifesting the meaning of the verse, those who forget God and He made them forget their own souls, such are the rebellious transgressors. A person, reflecting this verse, a person will forget himself, not think of life's fleeting nature, suppose his personal unstable world to be constant like the general world or outside world, and imagine himself to be undying, he will, you were asking like, how do they enjoy life? This is how they enjoy life, right? They imagine himself to be undying, he will fix himself on the world and embrace it with intense emotions, he will drown in it and depart in that state of drowning. O muhabbet onun için hadsiz bela ve azaptır. Such love for him is boundless torment and tribulation. Çünkü o muhabbetten yetimane bir şefkat, meyusane bir rifkat tevellit eder. For an orphan-like compassion, a despairing softness of heart will be born out of that love. So I'll stop there with this, inshallah. We'll continue on the topic of love. How are we in time? Like, well, I don't know what the schedule is now.
You want some more?
Which
Why
is
is it fine?
at 5.
Yes. Yeah. People want to be for puja and stuff before that.
I'll stop here because the next is a much longer piece. If we try to review and summarize again, we start from the issue of youthfulness, and we said that one of the big problems of youthfulness or being young is you're full of energy, all your senses are open to the outside world, and if you don't recognize it, as it is the case here, if you don't recognize that your personal world is fleeting, and that's more possible in that state of youthfulness, right? You may assume yourself to be eternal. And when you assume yourself to be eternal, you can become forgetful. You can forget about God, you can forget about the hereafter, and you can forget about the importance of transforming the love, the attraction, the enjoyment, the delight that you have, that you experience as a young person of this world. You forget to transform all of that to love for God, enjoyment of the love of God, finding delight in worshiping God, and all of these things. It's very difficult to get there. Therefore, we need to cultivate. We need to cultivate the experiencing of God by cultivating our monotheism. How do we do that? We see the seal of God, like going back from where we came. We see the seal of God's oneness on each and everything. And seeing the seal of God on each and everything gives us a sense of presence before God. Because if I saw God, God, God, God, God, and wherever I turn, it's like I saw the big blinking neon lights saying God is one, God is one, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, right? Then I couldn't forget, because everywhere I turn, that's what I'm seeing, right? If I saw the seal, and the seal is there, right? It's not about putting the seal there. The seal is there. If I develop the skills to see that seal, to read that seal, right? Then I acquire a sense of presence before God. And with that sense of presence before God, the tricks that my youthfulness play on me, or the tricks that my nafs and shaitan can play on me in my state of youthfulness, will lose their effect, or will be much less harmful. I will have a lot more strength to deal with them.
When you say seal, is that the same as a stamp?
Seal is not.
Seal, stamp, same thing.
I mean, there are nuances in the Turkish words, but I'm not sure if it has been used consistently in the translations to reflect those nuances, and it's not too important. You understand the general meaning regardless.
When you said mirror, I'm still trying to understand in this chapter that we read, it talked about the mirror. I just don't, trying to understand how are we a mirror. That room example that I was trying to make, the parable, I didn't fully understand it.
Did somebody understand? Did anybody understand? If you talk about what we understood, maybe we can. Because I may not have a full understanding either, so let's talk about what we understood maybe, and then we can make out the meaning.
You say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, right? We all come from that. So everything we see outside there is from these beautiful names. But human being is the best mirror. I guess that's
The full-length mirror.
yeah, we need to get.
But
It says our mirror. I mean, as we see the room, I mean, it's our like understanding of this world, our feelings. If we feel bad, I mean, everything around us, sometimes we see them as everything is going down, right? It's like if your mirror is colored in green color or like red color, you see red. It's like that. I mean, your feelings affect your understanding of this world and things happening in that. I mean, if it is clean, then like you have the best reflection and you understand the best meaning of the, real world. That's how I understand.
Two things. Each thing in the creation manifests some of God's names at the greatest station of those names. Azam Mati, the greatest station of those names. I don't know if that's the case, but for example, when you look at plants, at least for me, the foremost name that manifests on them is the Razak, the provider, because plants are stuck where they are, and all the provision, all the food is coming to them, right? And the sunlight is coming to them, the oxygen or carbon dioxide is coming to them, right? And it manifests at the greatest station of the name. When they talk about human beings, man, the name that man manifests at its greatest station is Al-Jami. And you might think many other names, but this is what scholars say as Al-Jami. Right? Jami means the combiner. The human being combines all other names in its nature and manifests all other names. And if you think of the entire creation is the manifestation of all of God's names and attributes. Right? So, one of the ways that man manifests all of God's names is by reflecting the entire creation in his being. How so? Through all these faculties that allow him, that enable him to perceive, see through the sight of those who see, right? Perceive, behold the entire creation. For animals, as we said, there is no imagination, limited. There is no intellect, limited. But with intellect, with imagination, with the heart, with the other faculties that are not immediately known to all of us, but that exist like the sir, secret. Like what is secret? It is the faculty to know God. Right? With all of these faculties, each and every human being has the ability and does reflect the entire creation as a manifestation of God's attributes. Right? That's our mirror. What we are manifesting from the entire creation. In a sense, if you think of the entire creation as a mirror to God's attributes, we are mirroring the mirror. Each and every one of us are mirroring the mirror, and what we reflect on that mirror has an eternal life because it is being transferred over to a metaphysical realm. And that's the other thing. Things have the physical, substantive, material aspect that we see around us, but they also have a metaphysical aspect, a metaphysical existence that we don't see, immediately see, but we can perceive around us and beyond that, right? What is being reflected from our mirror does not concern only the physical, but also the metaphysical. It's a combination of the two. And the metaphysical transforms the nature of the physical. I.e., everybody looks at the sky, say in a clear night, and sees the stars. Everybody who has sight, physical sight, looks at the sky and sees the stars, and one says, wow, there's a lot of stars, right? And this reflects into the metaphysical way as, wow, a lot of stars. That's it. Right. End of it. End of story. This is darkness. This is reflected as darkness because it does not recognize the reality of the stars. Right? Remember, if you remember from the last session, looking through the point of view of asbab causes an effect alone, and stopping there, being stuck there, is ignorance. Ignorance is darkness. We reflect to the metaphysical realm a dark image, an ugly image. That's not worthy of ending up in paradise. That's worthy of ending up in hell. Right? Another person looks at the sky and sees all the stars and says, SubhanAllah, who created all of this? The one who can create all of this in this greatness and in this orderliness and in this beauty, right? Moves from the material world to the reality behind it, to the meaning behind it. And what reflects from this person's mirror to the metaphysical world and the hereafter, the eternal realm, is Tawheed. It's beautiful. It's worthy of paradise. Right? So this is why perspective is such an important thing, as we said at the beginning. Perspective and intention, they go hand in hand, transform the nature of things, the quiddity of things. Nature of the sky is not only so many elements organized in such an order into clouds of gas and masses of dark matter and this and that. That's one aspect of its nature. But the bigger aspect of its nature, right, the more significant aspect of its nature is the reality that it represents, which relates to that metaphysical world. I think that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
Otherwise, only material aspects of human body can reflect the names of God if that person does not believe in God. But if he believes in God and reflects everything on reflects all things he sees and refers them back to God's oneness and names, then that metaphysical realm also is illuminated, and he also helps illuminating those reality to other human fellows as well. So that's the difference between a believing man and a non-unbelieving.
Yeah, that's good actually. Even the non-believer reflects attributes of God, manifest attributes of God, right? But that the function of that is with regard to the first respect, when we talked about the king and the beholding of king in two respects, that relates to the first respect, so that the king himself would behold them with his own discerning eye. And that's a perfect metabolism that is built into my existence. And the Creator is beholding that whether I believe in Him or not. The angels are beholding it, and so on and so forth, right? But the second one is where human beings have a responsibility for it, where our human nature comes into the picture, and where we need to recognize or whether we are young or old or not, because that is the point. That's the point of being here.
Yeah.
So that he could look through the view of others.
This answers the question: why do good people go to hell?
What?
This answers the question: why do good people go to hell?
Good.
Good people who are not believers.
Oh,
They're always doing charitable work. They're always being nice to people.
That's
How can
because
they go to the hellfire?
kufr means to cover, right, in Arabic. And
Yeah.
kafir is the one who covers these meanings.
Sure.
Does not eliminate those meanings.
Yeah.
Because we don't witness, see that metaphysical world, we don't recognize how ugly and how bad and how evil disbelief is.
Yeah.
If disbelief had a smell and color and sound and whatnot that we could sense, right? It would be an unbearable sensation. It would be so ugly.
Yeah.
Each and every human being that's walking around us with that, it would be
Yeah.
so ugly that we would say, yeah, that person deserves. Right?
Once a person came to me in Istanbul after visiting Süleymaniye Mosque, and this person was an engineer himself, and he said, "Oh, people say, look at Süleymaniye, it's such a great, building and so on and so forth. I just went into there and saw some pillars. It's just, a square cube, block type of thing." I was astonished. Are you kidding me? I wanted to, grab his, shirt and shake him a little bit more, just to make, bring him into his senses. It was so ugly to me to, treat the architect Mimar Sinan in that way, not recognizing his, skills, great, capabilities building up such a, great mosque there. So that was my reaction.
Mm-hmm.
How possible can you not see those
Yeah.
great, success?
But this doesn't mean that we go around like disdaining and being disgusted of people around. That's certainly not the case, because we don't know who is going to be the believer
At the end.
at the end, like 10 years from now, them or us.
True.
Umar radiallahu anh was beloved to God as he was walking to kill the Prophet.
That's true.
So apparently Allah is more patient than us.
So you mentioned in the beginning that there's these four seeds: nominative meaning, indicative meaning, intention, and perspective. Are these the four seeds from the Masnavi Nuriya?
Say it again.
What were the four seeds from the Masnavi Nuriya?
Four words. Four words. Nominative meaning,
From the Masnavi.
indicative meaning, mana ismi, mana harfi. They're also rendered as other indicative and self-referential meanings of things, right? And then perspective and intention. And they are all related to one another. Like with the perspective, the point is to see the other indicative meaning of things. I.e., if you look at a beautiful flower, the self-referential part of it is it's yellow, it's symmetrical, it's shiny, it's bright, and it is well-shaped and lively and fresh and so on. So all the mechanical descriptors that you can apply to the flower, right? That's the self-referential meaning that you can see in a flower. It's beautiful, but it's going to die in 3 days. And there is an ugliness in its temporality, right? But the other indicative meaning of the flower is that this beauty is a manifestation of the real beautiful one.
Yeah.
And if you can move from this beauty, nominative meaning, if you can pass behind it and see the reality of it, right? Then it is so beautiful because it is the manifestation of the real beautiful, right? And that what helps you do that is perspective. Are we ending? سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم